My name is George Chen, and thank you for listening to me again. I'm glad to have this last chance to talk to you guys. Well, happy Friday, first of all. Today, I'm going to talk to you about art education in North America, specifically in America, because I went to high school, United States. So I think today my talk is going to focus primarily in the high school in America and talk to you about how art is taught in high school in America. I think you will find it quite interesting. But before I start the talk, I want to start with a quote. Picasso once said that all children are born artists. I think most of us will agree with that because we can recall our childhood being quite fun doing paintings, making clay dolls and things like that. But the problem is to remain an artist as we grow up. Some of us stay artistic, but some of us stop doing art completely. So I think it's the function of art education and how it would continue our passion in creativity and in art. So that is today my talk is about. So art education in America. And my talk today will start with the early phase of art education in America. When we say phase, meaning 阶段，我们先从早期的阶段 in art education, then go on to some of the art-related courses and the social events available in high school. And all these social events help the high school students in America become creative and have their own voices in their creation. So let's start with the early art education in America. To train students to think creatively, art education has evolved a lot since it was first launched in American public schools in 1821. Launch means to introduce. 首先被介绍在美国的被推出在美国的公立学校 in 1821. And it wasn't really for the art purpose. It was really because of, as we all know, during that period of time, it was Industrial Revolution. And the Industrial Revolution really have an early drive in creating art classes in early public school in America. And this, you can see this is a black and white photo during that part of era, during Industrial Revolution, where the focus is more on architectural designers, because during that time, we need a lot more designers for industry, making different kinds of products, especially housing. At that time, art was often taught for non-artistic purposes. 艺术常常是被教是因为非艺术的目的。And they focus more on manual dexterity. Manual meaning 手部的 dexterity meaning 你的灵活度. So they focus more on your 手部灵活度. And it is often more important than aesthetic insight. 它的重要性多过于你的审美观。So this is artistic revolution, industrial revolution. So art education first became available in public school in 1821 due to the need for architectural designers. So architectural meaning 建筑的，对，建筑的设计师。And during the Industrial Revolution, and at that time, art was often taught for non-artistic purposes. And that manual dexterity, like I said, manual means hand. And that is definitely more important than aesthetic insight. Insight is our 我们的洞察力 and how we look at art and how we find it beautiful. But that wasn't the emphasis at that time. So visual art teachers were isolated from their colleagues because they didn't think art teacher being very creativity related. So they're isolated from colleagues who taught dance, or music, and theater, and the literature. So when students went to art classes, they felt like they go to industrial design classes. And the teacher at that time have to teach real drawing and hand-related skills. So this is the early part of the art education. And this photo shows art and the child development. And this is another early movement in America during the early art education. The child study movement in art education has strong roots in child study movement. And children's drawings were used to document 在这里是叫做记录 stages in developmental processes 记录一些他们成长过程的阶段 So for this purpose, psychologists need untutored drawings 他们需要一些 untutored 我们大家都知道 tutor 一般来讲就是家教那 untutored 再加一个 ed 就是它的形容词没有被教导过的一些画图 meaning you cannot interfere 你不能干扰学生的创作力 And this practice has influenced American art education until today. So some art teachers avoid overt instruction and try not to influence students' artwork. Overt meaning 太过明显的，他们不想给太过明显的教学，也不想太去影响学生的艺术创作。So students do not learn art the way they learn math and history. 那学生学习艺术的方式就是跟学习数学跟历史完全不一样 entirely different. So the lack of clear instruction and the criteria will affect budget allocation for art classes in the future. 那就是因为缺乏了这个很明确的教学和它的评分标准 this will affect 就会影响了人们对艺术课的预算 because they think this doesn't have a standard. What are the criteria? So I give you the words I just read to you so you can follow and do more understanding. Again, this is a part of my talk is to improve your English level. So a lot of time I want you to listen to my talk and try to struggle and understand what I try to say. Then if you really think, oh my God, I missed that, I missed this, don't worry, okay? Because I'm going to give you the script. 我会给你这些稿 For example, right here. So our education has strong roots in child study movement, and children's drawings were used to document, meaning to record, stages in developmental processes. For this purpose, psychologists, 就是所谓的心理学家 needed untutored, 就是我刚刚所讲的没有被教过的 drawings, 没有被指导过的 drawings. And this practice has influenced American art education until today. So some art teachers avoid overt instruction and try not to influence students' artwork. And influence means to 影响, okay? And the students don't learn art the way they learn math and history. And we all know that it's very different how we learn art. So the lack of clear instruction, lack 就是缺乏 instruction 就是指导 and the criteria will affect budget allocation for our classes. And this is quite important for nowadays because many schools in America are fighting for the budget for our classes. But the budgets all depend on these experts, 这些专家 because they need to know the importance of art education. 那如果因为这一个 child study movement， 很多人觉得I'm not sure because it's different from how they learn history and math. Before World War II, so as time moves on from the early phase in Industrial Revolution and the art used as the child development study, some states in America start to have more money and more budget for their public school. And so they want to develop art curriculum. Curriculum means 学程, so 他们想要开发一些艺术学程. So at this time, all the materials became better. The art material like the pen, the paper, began to improve in quality. The art instruction expand beyond classic methods. So it become more studio oriented. So it become more hands-on, 比较用手去做，用手去涂. So, and next movement we have is called picture study movement. During this period of time, attention to aesthetics in classroom led to public interest in beautifying school and home and the community. Aesthetic 就是我所谓的美学，我们要注意了一点美学 and it led to public interest in making the school beautiful, making the home more beautiful. So the concept of art in daily living was carried out by bringing culture to students. 现在的概念是艺术在每天的生活中 and this concept was first taught to students and to in turn change their parents. In turn 就是中文的然而改变他们的父母亲. So to do it, 怎么做呢? To do it, students were given pictures to look at. And a teacher will give certain information about the pictures and the artists who created them. So students often collected these cards and trade them like Pokemon cards or the baseball cards nowadays. Just imagine 那些宝可梦卡或者是棒球卡. At that time, they printed famous painting on those cards and teach children what is art or what is aesthetics. And here I give you some examples of picture cards. So the typical picture cards, the teacher will purchase from the business owners. And these materials include a teacher's picture, and teacher's picture is bigger than this card. Then a smaller reproduction, which means these smaller cards for each children to look at. Of course, these were the modern one. 这个是比较现代的 picture cards. 那当然in those days, 在那种年代呢, they were black and white, okay? So children will collect these cards just like, like I said, the basketball card or baseball cards and things like that. The teacher would tell the students, oh, this is a painting by Wesley Kandinsky. And he will say he was born on December 16, 1866. He was one of the pioneers in abstraction in Western art. And he taught at Bauhaus for 10 years. And the title of this piece is called Yellow, Red, and Blue. It was created in 1925. The primary colors on the painting feature squares, circles, and triangles. And there are abstract shapes mixed in with these. You will see straight and curved black lines that go through colors and shapes. And this kind of explanation will help children look at the composition carefully and hopefully develop children's sense of aesthetics. And the bottom picture card shows a painting by George Seurat, who was born on December 2nd, 1859. And the title of the painting is called A Sunday Afternoon on the Island of La Grande Jatte, created in 1886. The teacher will also tell the student it is a leading example of pointillist technique. And all the color spots were used to create composition. The children will learn, oh, wow, that's a good example of pointillist technique. And the teacher will tell them to pay attention to all these little dots. So it's a very interesting way of learning how different artists create composition. The other example picture cards, which I will show you later, there is only an outline and the students could fill it in with colors. So with the picture cards, there were also language art projects. Language arts projects were designed to help students talk about art, to talk about what they see and talk about what they like and why they like it. And so they can articulate their feelings towards art pieces. So sometimes suggestions for language art projects or studio activities were included in the materials. And the picture study movement died out. Die out meaning 就退场了，慢慢消失了。At the end of the 1920s, as a result of new ideas regarding learning art appreciation through studio work, and it became more popular in the United States. 在1920年代的末期呢，大家的专注力就比较在于 studio work， 我们就比较更专注于动手去做。And since the end of 1920s, we're going into more of what we are familiar with, what we are doing now, what we call studio work. So students learn to appreciate art through doing it in the art studio. So in this picture, I will quickly go through from the elementary school to from kindergarten to 8th grade, because my focus is more on high school. So we'll glance 很快的略过，大概看过从幼稚园到8年级。So for elementary school students, 对于小学生呢 the art classes seek to foster interest as well as skill in many different forms of art. 那艺术课程呢，小学的艺术课程大概就是要培养小朋友在各种艺术的兴趣。So the art teacher usually has the freedom to design their own classes. 那艺术老师呢，就会有他自己的自由度来设计他们的课程。So in general, the classes will include basic drawing, painting, and simple crafts. 简单的一些工艺课。And in middle school, 在我们在中学呢，就所谓的7年级跟8年级 ，classes continue to help students improve basic artistic skills. 然而呢，同时 and introduce concepts in art history. At this level, lessons are still basic and intended to establish a solid foundation in skill and history. 所以在这一阶段，所有的课程都是很基础的，只是要培养一些基本的美术历史跟画画技巧。So let me recap. 让我回顾一下刚刚我所讲的。So elementary school students are encouraged 被鼓励去 explore 来探索一下 and express 来表达 their ideas and creativity through all forms of visual art. 所有形式的视觉艺术 including drawing, painting, collaging, and sculpture. Collage means 拼贴. And the middle school students, 7th and 8th graders, 7、8年级生呢 take standards-based visual art courses as electives. 我们在7、8年级的时候呢，中学生拿的课程就会像美国的高中，因为它的很多课程我们都叫做 elective， 叫选修课。And these art classes become electives. And the students expand their skills into, for example, portraiture. They learn how to draw portraits, color design, still life drawing, printmaking, and the ceramics. And they're all quite basic. But what's important is elementary and the middle school art is often on exhibit at the schools and the local gallery. And this is quite typical of American schools. 在美国学校呢，他们很喜欢展现学生的艺术作品。Sometimes it's in school, sometimes 他们会租当地的画廊 just for students to show their creativity. I think this is quite important for students to have their confidence in their art creation, and hopefully they will find a path, 找到他们自己的路 in their artistic career in the future. So the local art centers host district-wide visual art show where students work from each school is on display. So they will have the students' artwork on display. Of course, there will be also art contests. 各式各样的contest 就是竞赛，艺术竞赛。And here I give you some example of children's art by the local student in America. And I think it's quite interesting to look at our children's art in Taiwan and compare 跟一下美国小朋友画出来的儿童艺术。I think it's very interesting to see the use of colors and the composition. And here, this is the winner of the elementary school art contest. This student drew what she imagined to be the common ancestor of a tiger, an alligator, and a shark. 这个小朋友艺术家，他想画的呢，是他想象中的一个共通的祖先，老虎、鳄鱼跟鲨鱼3种动物的共通祖先。So she combined these 3 animals and imagine what his ancestor would look like. I think it's quite imaginative, 非常有想象力。I love it. It's very interesting. And this is an example of a children's art contest. The art contest was created with support of the city. And this particular art contest came from Carmichael. And it is supported by the Carmichael Water Department. 他们水资源部门赞助的一个艺术创作比赛。And the goal of the contest, 这个竞赛的目的呢 is to engage students in educating their community about the importance of using water wisely. 当然，因为是水资源部门，他们就鼓励儿童画一些关于水的重要性的图画。So the students learn the message of saving water as well as the community. And the students' artwork has been turned into calendar that school will sell to benefit their art program. 那个学生的艺术品呢，转成月历来卖 ，so the school 可以 用这些钱来改善他们的艺术课程。So the resulting calendar conveys a useful view of safeguarding or protecting our water resource. I think that's a very smart idea, and it's a win-win situation. 这种双赢的方式 for children, for the community, and for the art classes in school. So now we're going to do look at art classroom in high school. This is a very typical 很典型的 art classroom in high school. In high school, art classes expand to include other visual medium. 在高中呢，艺术课程就会扩张去包含了其他的艺术种类。For example, such as video, photography, or even graphic design, 平面设计。And the art theory is introduced at this level. 那艺术理论呢，也会被介绍给学生知道。And the subject becomes more of a serious academic study than an activity. 那艺术就变成比较认真看待的学术研究，而不是像 elementary school and middle school， 像中学、小学，像只是个活动 become an activity. And there are more art-related facilities. 艺术相关的设施 facilities such as black and white darkroom, dance studio, sculpture studio, or weaving studio, 织布的教室 and the 3D 艺术的教室 and the computer lab were all set up for students to create different kinds of art. So like I said, 如我所说呢 like I said, in high school, art classes were taught more academically than as an activity in middle or elementary school. So in high school, art education from 9th to 12th grade, 9到12年级，高中有4年，从9到12 9 to 12th grade. In high school, art classes expand to include different forms, different ways of creating art, such as video, photography, performance art, and graphic design. And the art theory and the history is also introduced at this level. So the subject becomes more of a serious academic study. Academic 就是学术的研究 than an activity. There are art-related facilities. Facilities means 设施 for example, 我们的暗室 for photography, and the dance studio, sculpture studio, weaving studio, and the computer lab, 电脑教室。Another interesting about art classes in high school is called AP Art Studio. AP stands for Advanced Placement. And the AP is a program of classes developed to give high school students an introduction to college-level classes and also gain college credit before even graduating high school. So advanced 就比较进阶的，这些进阶艺术课程呢，来设计给学生，让他们其实可以得到一些大学层次的一些学分了，在高中毕业前。And for many students who have intention of going to university, 他们有意图想要上大学的呢，其实他们在高中就可以上许多大学学分的课程。There are many AP classes such as chemistry, 比如说化学 US history, psychology, 心理学 and calculus, 和微积分。For AP Art Studio classes, 如果你想要拿大学的艺术学分呢 the students can choose drawing, 2D design, and 3D design. 他们可以选择三种的其中一种。 And a portfolio is required for all three categories. 那么在大学要申请这些 AP 课程的时候，就要准备这种 portfolio. And this is a very good practice for high school students who want to go into art major in university. And here I have an example of a drawing for the AP Art Studio portfolio. 如果你是个高中生，你想要先拿到素描课的大学学分呢 ，you need to have a portfolio, and this is one of the example from the portfolio. And this is a drawing for the AP Art Studio portfolio, and here students will find their voice and be able to visually communicate thoughts and ideas. 那评分的标准呢？当他们在评论这个艺术的时候呢，他们是根据 here students will find their voice， 找到自己的声音 ，and be able to visually communicate thoughts and ideas， 视觉的表现出他们的思想，他们的观念 ，and think critically about the world around them， 深入的探讨他们周遭的世界 ，and explore materials in depth。深度的去使用他们的素材 to bring their artistic vision to life， 所以把他们的视觉的视野，他们的内涵把它给呈现出来，带给大家看。That is the goal of the drawing for AP Art Studio, and this is one of the high school students' piece. And this is a 2D design in AP Art Studio. Remember, the AP Art Studio comes with three choices: drawing, 2D design, and the 3D design. And this is a 2D design. And for 2D design, this is a very challenging and rigorous college level course. 学生如果想要上这堂课 2D design in AP Art Studio， 他们老师会先跟这个高中老师会先跟学生说，这个已经是大学阶级的课程了。So the class would be very challenging and one that may exasperate and frustrate, but will ultimately be the most satisfying accomplishment of a high school art career. 虽然会挑战性很大，但是呢，是会非常令人满足的成就，在高中的艺术学习中。So students are expected to devote many hours at home and after school to produce their best possible work. 所以老师会提醒学生，功课会很多。So many hours at home and after school 来自己创作出他们的 their best， 他们的最拿手的作品，最厉害的作品。Okay, so this is one of the examples in the 2D design in AP Art Studio, and this is a 3D design for AP Art Studio. 3D design could be a sculpture, ceramics, or anything that's three-dimensional. Again, this is a high school student's piece, and the teacher will always remind the student how difficult the class is, but you can earn university credit. 你可以得到大学的学分。You can get university credits. The art teacher who teaches AP Art Studio have a lot of responsibility. Not only do they teach art-related skills, but they also have to teach writing, especially tips on writing a portfolio statement. 那个在高中教艺术的老师，尤其是在教这种大学学分的先修班的课程呢，他们也要教写作，尤其要教学生如何写出好的 portfolio statement. And here I give you some example of what is okay, what is not okay. For example, I mark it red, it means not okay. 红的就是需要改善，蓝的就是可以的。For example, the sky was transformed with the mixture of blue and orange hues. Then you give an image number. 请不要把 image number 放在句子当句首。我们重要的是想要先看到你的陈述。So the sky, so follow the blue one. 根据蓝色的方式写。Second one, 第二个。The beginning of the concentration focuses on animals. No problem. 那我们再跟它比较那个比较不适当的呢 ？In the beginning of my concentration, I focused on animals. 我们都知道这个 statement 是来自你，所以你就不需要再提说我专注于这些，就变成赘字。So it's not important. 所以我们就直接比较明确的、比较简洁的写蓝色那部分。And next one, image 2 depicts. Depicts means to describe. 描绘、描述 how nature is abused by humans. 那你就跟那个比较不适当的比呢 I wanted to show how nature is abused by humans in picture 2. Again, like I said, 就像如我所说，因为this statement from you, 所以我们尽量我们简洁一点，我们 use concise. There's no need to say I wanted to show because this is your portfolio. 所以就像我 just like what I said in my first talk in first talk about art residency 驻地艺术申请那个时候 it's very important to be concise to the point and eliminate 排除掉一些赘字 redundant words. So let's go to the next one. And I just want to quickly show you the high school I attended. It's called Mount Eden High School. And this is the high school I went to. Mount Eden High School is a public high school in Hayward, California. And it was founded in 1960. 在1960年成立的一个公立高中，在 Hayward 加州的 Hayward 市 and the total number of students is about 2,000 大概2000个学生 and the student to teacher ratio 就是比例，所以老师跟学生比例大概是1:23 so one teacher for 23 students and it provides education to students from 9th to 12th grade 这个高中提供的教育给学生从9年级到12年级。And from here, I'm going to talk to you about some of the classes offered in my high school and some of the social events that will help students become artistic and creative. So high school curriculum in America. 高中的一些课程 in America. So high schools are rated based on test results. In high school, focus has become more on academic performance. 我们学术表现 So meaning test results can affect funding. 可以影响补助政府的补助金 and the college admission become critical as graduation approaches. Critical means important. 那大学入学也变得比较重要了，尤其当我们的毕业典礼接近 And high schools place a greater emphasis on academic performance. 那到高中以后呢，学生就会比较有，他自己 what they want to do in the future, and the teacher will put emphasis on their academic performance. 他们学术表现，所以他们可以朝那个方向进行。Therefore, teachers have the opportunity to teach challenging high-level courses for college-bound students who take their studies seriously. 那因此呢，老师就会有机会来教一些比较挑战性的高阶层的课程，就像我刚刚所说的 AP classes, Advanced Placement classes for college-bound students. 一撇 bound 就是要前往，所以要前往大学的学生。哪些大学的学生呢？他们 who take their studies seriously. 他们比较认真看待他们学习的，想上大学的学生。So that's college bound. Remember, in high schools in Canada or in America, 在北美的高中 many students, 许多学生他们并没有要上大学。They don't have the intention of going to universities. Many students have intention to work and make money. So that is why teachers have to prepare students for different future. So here we're talking about college-bound students. So let's go to, at the same time, high schools also offer a wide variety of classes for students of all abilities and interests. 学校会提供各种各样的课程给学生，那学生的他们会考量到学生的能力和他们的兴趣。So an art teacher in high school will teach classes that are related to his or her discipline. Discipline 就是领域。那在高中的老师他会教各式各样的课程，有关于他的领域。For example, a math teacher would teach statistics, trigonometry, and calculus. 一种数学老师当然会开的课，比如说会开统计学、trigonometry 三角学，或者是开微积分的课。An art teacher would teach drawing for all kinds. 各式各样的画图课 ，mixed media and art history 也会教艺术历史课。So classes in high school are on a credit system. 变成了学分制度 ，and a certain number of credits are required for graduation and college admission. 你所需要的学分对于毕业或者对于进入大学是 they are very important. 因为 because if you don't, 你可能没有办法毕业。It's almost 就是有点像我们的大学了。It's almost like college. You don't get enough credits, you can't finish. You can't graduate. So it's very important, this concept. 那这种概念呢，给学生许多的自由度，选择他们喜欢的所谓的 electives。如果你还记得的话 ，elective 选修课。And here I give you just examples of graduation requirements. 大学、高中、大学毕业要求。For example, they will give you, for example, you need to have 40 credits of English. 所以40个学分英文，它的意思大概就是4年，要上4年的英文课。World History 10 credits, US History 10 credits, and Government 5 credits. Economics 就是经济学5 credits. Life and Physical Science 20 credits. 我们所谓的 Life and Physical Science 包含了像我们的什么 Biology 化学课生物课 Chemistry and Physics 或者是地球科学 Earth Science 它们全包含在这个20 credits 看你自己选择只要上到20个 credits 就可以了 So 20个 credit is about 2 years. Mathematics 数学课，那记住我们数学课包含很多 ，OK？ So just like I said， 有统计学，有比较简单的像代数 ，or 难一点的 calculus. So all you need is 30 credits, and then fine art or foreign language. 艺术课程或者是外语课程，它要求它一定要有10 credits. Physical education， 我们的体育课20 credits, and the health 健康教育课程 teach you what is important, how to keep yourself healthy is 5 credits. 那你再看一下它的 elective， 他们选修课程115， that's a lot， 所以给予学生很多自由度来选择他要学更多一些什么东西。For example, they take fine art classes. 他们拿了一些基础的艺术课程，觉得 Oh, I love art. 我很喜欢艺术。他们可以多拿一点艺术相关的选修课程。So what you need is 270 credit to finish, to get a diploma, 拿到一个高中文凭。Remember, college requirements are different from requirements for university. 大学的要求跟高中毕业的要求也许会不一样。For example, I'll give you an example. History and social science 它推荐大概2年 but for university 你可能要拿到3到4年。So English 4 years, math 3 years. It's recommended to do it 4 years. And the lab science 3 to 4 years. And the language other than English 外语课程非母语课程，所以英文以外的语言 3 to 4 years. 2 years is required, but for university 3 to 4. And visual and performing arts 2 years recommended. And a college prep elective 大学先修的选修课最好是1年。So for university, it's better that you take courses beyond 超越那些基本的要求。So in what are the electives? 你可能问有哪些选修课程呢？那哪些是跟艺术相关的选修课程呢？ Because this is a art-related talk. I want to know more about art-related electives. So electives in high school. In high school, students get to take elective classes. Get to 再加一个 V 就是有机会做什么事情。那 get to take elective classes 有机会拿一些选修课。There are classes outside the core curriculum that students get to choose. 所谓的 core curriculum 就是有点像主修课，一定要把那些什么数学啊、英文啊 ，Let's go core curriculum that students get to choose. 那在那些课程之外，他们可以有拿很多选修课 ，and elective classes are needed for graduation. 那这些选修课程一定要拿才可以毕业。那选修课程有哪一些呢？ They may find elective classes in subjects such as art, design, music, journalism, 新闻或新闻报道，就是大学的新闻系的 journalism, computer programming, yearbook 叫做毕业纪念册。And we will talk about this later a bit more, how yearbook can become a very good training for someone's artistic ability. Home economics 家政课 and the drama 戏剧课。Elective help students investigate their interests and learn skills and clarify career goals. 那这些选修课程帮助学生去深入探讨、深入研究他们自己的兴趣 and learn skills 来 弄清楚自己的未来的事业目标或大学目标or your majors in university. And therefore, elective classes can be great motivators for students. 那这些选修课程可以是对学生是很大的动力 ，especially 有些学生 some students do not like core curriculum classes. 有些学生不喜欢他们所谓的核心课程，像英文啊、数学啊 things like that. So they can have motivation to go to school. So I'll give you some example of the classes available in my high school. 我读的高中有的一些艺术相关课程。The first one I am showing you is metal smithing and jewelry. Metal smithing 金属加工 and jewelry 当然就是珠宝设计。And these classes come with level 1 and level 2. 两个阶段，第一阶段、第二阶段。And this course is designed for the students who wishes to learn design and make jewelry and a wide variety of techniques. 各式各样的技巧会被介绍 such as fabrication from wire and sheet metal by the locked wax casting method. 那你对金属加工呢有兴趣，你就会学习到我刚刚所讲的那一些技巧。So in this class is the student get to create a personal statement using different metals and accessories to make accessories. So skills covered in a jewelry class. 那珠宝设计课程有教的技巧 lost wax casting. The basic lost wax casting process involves creating a mold. 先做一个模子 then pouring the molten metal into the mold. And you will then extract 就是取出 the solid metal casting and finish your piece. So that's called lost wax casting. Of course, there are other techniques such as enameling, soldering, and forging. They will also introduce what we call patination. 那这个字的名词叫做 patina. So what is patina? So patination refers to the process of developing or forming a color on a metal surface or sculpture. 所以有时候我们看到那个金属的表面看起来 it has a patina and it has a beautiful green, and that is what we call this patination. Okay, so that is some of the techniques that students will use in creating their jewelry. Next, we'll go to sculpture class. And this course will be an exploration of new materials and techniques with an appreciation of sculptural three-dimensional forms. 这个课程是帮助学生探索新的一些素材 and techniques 和技术，那同时，然后加强大家的 appreciation of sculptural 3D dimensional forms and the historical and contemporary concepts ranging from representational figures. 那这历史的跟当代的一些概念，ranging from representational figures 一些代表性的一些人像或者是雕像 ，to abstract forms 到一些比较抽象的形式会被呈现给学生看。So some of the material used may include clay, wood, metal, cloth, paper, and plaster. Plaster 是石膏 ，and students will be required to keep a sketchbook. 每个学生都要有一个素描本 ，and hand drawing is required。在做3D 之前，要先画出来给老师看。So that's why it's called, there's a sketchbook 素描本。So the teacher will encourage students to make what we call unconventional sculpture， 非传统性的3D 雕塑。And this particular one is use adhesive tape， 用胶带做出来的。Like I said, course description for the sculpture class. Students are expected to explore in depth, 深度的来探索 special interest areas, as well as add new crafts and sculpture experiences. And the materials used may include clay, 陶土, wood, leather, 皮革, paper, plastic, yarns, 毛线 metal, papier-mâché, wire, cardboard, plaster, and etc. And this course emphasizes 他们会强调 craftsmanship 工匠精神 craftsmanship and originality 原创性 and the marketable products. And this is very interesting. Marketable products 能够卖得出去的，能够行销出去的产品。And this is very important because they want to have this concept in high school. 因为很多高中生可能 they don't want to go to university, they should 不上大学，那他们就必须有一种 they need to make money， 要有谋生的技术 ，so they have to teach students what is marketable， 什么东西卖得出去，什么东西做出来 ，maybe they can sell 卖不出去 ，so that's important. And the teacher will be very honest in the opinion. So it's very important that have this concept in the students when they create. Next one, we have ceramic art class in high school. Ceramic means 陶艺课程 ceramic arts 陶艺课程 and the primary emphasis is on studio work, leading to a portfolio of finished pieces by the end of semester. 在学习中呢，他们一定要有一个 portfolio 里面就会有他们创作出来的作品。In addition to demonstrations of technique, you'll be shown historic and contemporary examples of fine ceramic art in slides or films to help illustrate what you are learning. 老师会给你看一些历史上有名的和当代的 contemporary 例子，用幻灯片或者是投影机或者是 in films 或者是影片来帮助你学习。And short quizzes and warm-ups will also be given to assess learning. 一些随堂考试也会在评分标准里面。Last slide, you see the student doing the piece on the pottery wheel. And here we're baked and glazed. 已经上釉然后烤出来了。And these pieces really teach students to see if their products are marketable or are sellable. 他们的创作出来的东西有没有市场？有人会花钱来买吗？ And that is very important for the teacher to teach students the concept. And the ceramic course description. 它的课程介绍，它课程的目的在于 the course offers students an opportunity to explore the possibilities of clay as a creative medium. Drawing and design skills will be used in ceramics. to develop ideas for individual projects。那记住我们的这些课程的到最后的每件作品都是 individual 个人的作品。Emphasis 它的强调于什么呢 ？Will be on design and craftsmanship. In addition to demonstrations of techniques, they will show you historic and contemporary 当代的 contemporary examples. So that is a course description in ceramics. And the techniques covered in ceramics. 但这些陶艺课呢，它会教些什么技术呢 ？For example, they will cover coil. If you have done ceramics in the past, you probably are familiar with coil. So coil is basically 一条长长的楼层陶土 and stack 叠起来 and join coils of clay on top, one on top of the other. 然后一层一层的叠起来 and the coils can be left visible or can be smoothed away. 那这一条一条叠起来的，当然可以原状 or can be smoothed away， 把它给抹平，所以你看不出来它是一条一条叠起来的。Another one is called slab. Clay is rolled into thin sheets and manipulated into shapes. 就那个陶土被弄得很薄的一层，然后 you can manipulate 用手把它弄成各式的形状。That is a very basic way of doing ceramic slab. And the next, of course, the wheel rolling. So you have a pottery wheel, and the process of shaping and forming clay into usable shapes on the pottery wheel. And earlier, we see the boy making the piece on the pottery wheel. And of course, they will also show students how to bake the product and how to glaze it, 怎么上釉这些 and these are all covered. And next one, we have photography. In this picture, students get to use the cameras and take photos. And the cameras could be entirely manual or could be semi-digital, 半数位的. And some classes will even have students use their own smartphone, 他自己的智慧型手机 to take photos. So this course will use digital photography to help students learn and apply basic elements of art, 基本艺术的元素 and the principles of design, 设计的原理. And this course will also provide students with opportunities to extend their knowledge and skills in the field of photography. And the use of Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom. Digital photography will familiarize the students with digital photographic equipment, materials, methods, and processes. 当我们在教数位摄影的时候呢，那学生就会学习到如何用一些软体和一些数位相关的一些方式。Because nowadays, a lot of devices have been digitized, 被数位化了。So, and this is an example of a student piece. So, see the world through lenses. 我们来看这个世界借由 through these lenses. And this is a high school student work. In photography classes, the visual problem-solving skills are explored through the use of computer as the main tool for creative expression and communication. 很多因为他们已经数位化相机，很多他们照下来的 a lot of their photographs are first downloaded on the computers so that they can do some additional work or manipulation 我做下一些操作在电脑上 for creative expression. Like I said, cell phone photography and the editing with a variety of phone applications will be introduced in the curriculum. Most of the people use a smartphone to take photos. 那些我们的智慧型手机 is become quite important in teaching photography in high school. And students create their own blogs as a place to exhibit their projects and the portfolio work. 老師會教學生怎麼成立自己的部落格，來呈現他們自己的作品。And the self-promotion of student photography is encouraged. 這裡我們講到就是 self-promotion， 自己推廣自己的產品is encouraged. And the beginning social media marketing introduced. 這邊重要的另外一個就是 social media marketing， 我們的社交媒體行銷會介紹給學生，然後 it goes back to what I just said, marketable pieces， 怎麼樣把你的藝術作品能夠賣得出去。Students are encouraged， 被鼓勵來設立自己的部落格 blogs and the social media site showing your art pieces is hopefully they can be sold online. So photography class description, this course will use for digital photography to help students learn and apply the basic elements of art and design. And this course will also provide students with opportunities to use Adobe Photoshop and the Lightroom. And cell phone photography and editing 就是编辑 will be infused in the curriculum. Infused meaning introduced in the curriculum. So students create their own blog as a place to exhibit their projects and portfolio work. And self-promotion of student photography, 自我推銷 is encouraged. And the beginning social media marketing is introduced. 媒体網站行銷會被介紹給學生 and hopefully student work get to be sold. So the last class I mentioned was photography, 那个摄影课 and photography has very close relationship with this class called yearbook class. 他们的关系非常接近 because like we know yearbook 毕业纪念册 includes all kinds of photos, not just portraits, 不是只有肖像 but all kinds of photos. So yearbook, and in high school, yearbook is a class. 毕业纪念册有叫做毕业纪念册设计课 and these students have the responsibility to create a marketable and attractive yearbook. So students would love to have them and would pay money to get these yearbooks. And before I go into yearbook classes, I would quickly talk about the history of yearbooks in high school. I think it's very interesting. 我们在讲毕业纪念册的一点它的由来，它一点短短的历史。The first yearbooks can be traced back to the East Coast of America in the late 17th century. 在17世紀的晚期，在美國的東岸 and the people there would sign scrapbook style books. 我們都知道 scrapbook 就剪貼簿 他们那个时候人会签一些剪贴布风格的书。In the scrapbook that would contain hair clippings. Hair clipping 就是剪下来的一些头发，会贴进去。Dry flowers 一些干花。Newspaper articles 一些报纸中的报道。And the other mementos of the school year 和其他有纪念性的一些东西，来自你大学4年的人生。So you put it in the scrapbooks. So yearbook is a journal of memories. 是你各式各样纪念的一个日志。So for this journal of memories, 我们要谢谢 we need to thank American photographer George K. Warren for the yearbook as it exists today. 我们要感谢一个美国的摄影师，叫做 George K. Warren as it is today. 我们现代版的毕业纪念册。Why? What did he do? 他做了什么事呢？ With the invention of negative in the 1930s, Warren could print multiple images from one negative, and he started taking individual portraits and full-class pictures and had them bound into yearbooks for sale. 在1830年代呢，他们发明了底片。那从底片呢 ，Warren 就可以印出许多的影像 ，and he can take portraits 就开始照一些学生的肖像 ，and the full class pictures 和整班的一些照片 ，and had them bound into yearbooks for sales， 就把它们定集成毕业纪念册来卖。So evolution of yearbook design. So in the late 17th century, students would sign scrapbook-style books, 剪贴布风格的一些书 ，containing hair clippings. Clipping 就是剪，那剪下来的头发叫 hair clippings. Dry flowers, newspaper articles, and a little musings or poems, 一些诗 to reminisce about the time spent together. 来帮忙回忆学生们在一起的时间。An American photographer called George K. Warren printed multiple images from one negative and started making portraits and full-class pictures, and they were bound into yearbook for sale. And that is very smart. And just like we said, marketability. 行销能力，有没有把它制作出来的东西拿出去卖呢 ？And that is a very good example. And the next, we go to, I will show you some early example, the early yearbook. In the early yearbook, students would sign each other's books with little musings or poems or stories to reminisce. 我刚刚讲的那个字 reminisce 来回忆 the time spent together. And the students were encouraged to keep the books during class. 上课的时候呢，他们都会带这些毕业纪念册去。Eventually, they became a place to store anything their owners found interesting. 那这个毕业纪念册变成一个他们能够收藏他们觉得有趣的东西，包含什么呢 ？Including the signatures of other classmates， 包含其他同学的签名。And here I give an example of the famous singer Elvis Presley， 我们的猫王。And here, this one was his high school graduation portrait, and you could see someone sign next to his portrait, and I found it very interesting. Of course, this is a place you can always go back to. 你永远都可以回去，然后回顾 and recall your high school or college days. That's the function of the yearbook. And in this photo, I show you what we call signing a yearbook. Of course, this is not a real yearbook. This is a yearbook that shows some popular Korean actors and singers. But it's a good example showing how yearbook can be a place of creativity and how decorative they can become, and how people do little doodling, drawing, and even practicing their handwriting in a cute way to help memorize the people they like in high school. So doodling and drawing in yearbooks are always helpful for students to record special friendship. And this will turn yearbooks into some kind of personal journals, 个人的日志, and special messages about classmates' personality, 特别的一些讯息关于他的个性啊 ，school performance 学校的表现 ，and the future goals 未来的目标 are written near the face 可能会写在他的脸的旁边。It's a great way for students to exercise creativity. 真的是一个很好的方式给学生来运用一下他们的创作力 their creativity. When I found this slide, I found it very interesting. Say, teacher's pet, parents love him. Very interesting. And you might even find your idol in this slide. So, signing a yearbook has become almost an art form because what we have are acronyms. Acronyms 就是所谓的缩写. So acronyms are often used in signing yearbooks. Some examples include you are a cutie, you are a cutie, or AFA, a friend always, or KIT, keep in touch, or BFF, best friends forever, or HAGS, HAGS, have a great summer, or Lilas, love you like a sister. It's very interesting how creativity is used in making these acronyms. And here is another example of ingenuity. And you can see this ingenuity in a signature layout. Too cute to be forgotten. It's totally interesting. It's very memorable at the same time. 太可爱，忘不了你. It's just funny. Okay, so remember the word acronyms. A lot of time we use acronyms because we want to save time or we want to be cute. So here it shows the students in the yearbook and journalism class. So in this class, students will gain skills in more or one of the following areas. So for example, they will learn skills in page design, advanced publishing techniques, copywriting, editing, photography, while producing a creative, innovative yearbook, which records school memories and events. There is an emphasis on journalism skills in this class. So all the participants, 所有的参与者呢 gain useful real-world skills. 所有的参与者都会得到有用的，真正是在现实生活中会应用到的一些技巧。Real-world skills in time management, 时间管理 marketing, 行销 teamwork, and design principles, 一些设计原理。And it is a very fun class for students. So like I said, course goals for the yearbook class. Students will be familiar with design software, and students will work with various types of technology to produce a book of memories. such as digital camera, computer, and the scanner. Scanner 就是扫描机。And the student will apply computer skills and design principles to the production of yearbook pages. And students will learn copywriting techniques. Remember, they also have to write. They don't just take pictures because it involves some writing. And the students will learn publishing industry terminology. Terminology are the professional words used in the 出版行业, in the publishing industry. So for the yearbook class, students learn all kinds of skills, just like students in other art-related classes. So, like I said, from kindergarten all the way to high school, student artwork are often on exhibit or on display at the local galleries. So here I give you an example of the high school art gala. The art gala will feature art by students and the teachers at the school. And the art will include photography, painting, sculpture, and digital art, 数位艺术. And the students look forward to this event. 学生会很期盼这个活动 because you get to showcase their work and they created over the past year. And some of the pieces are even for sale. 许多的艺术品都会拿出来卖. And this is the concept they will keep repeating. 这种概念它会一直来重复. For sale, they are marketable. 它们是可以卖的. So that slides wrapped up our some of the examples of art classes in high school. 那刚刚那一系列结束了我们一些代表性的艺术相关课程在高中。And here we're talking about some creativity related social events. For example, we have homecoming week events. So homecoming is a long-standing American tradition where colleges and high schools will welcome alumni back to campus and the community. 那在这个美国长久以来的一个传统呢，大学或者是高中，他们会欢迎他们的校友回来。And the homecoming events may include a pep rally, a parade, a football game, the homecoming dance, and the school marching band leading the way, and homecoming parade build tons of excitement for the game and may feature homemade homecoming floats. 那这种回校庆或者是 homecoming week 会有，就像这里讲，这个叫做 float 花车。And this is handmade homecoming float， 大家学生自己创作出来的花车 ，and marching band 还会有仪队 ，and football game and dance 还会办舞会 ，and this is a great opportunity for students to create 创作他们自己的学校活动。So homecoming as a community event. Homecoming is a long-standing American tradition where colleges and high schools will welcome alumni back to campus and community. Campus 就是校园或者是他们的社区。And the homecoming events may include parade, a football game, the homecoming dance, with a school marching band leading the way. The homecoming parade built tons of excitement. For the game, it may feature 会主打一些手工的 homecoming float 花车。 And this is a picture of marching band. 所谓的仪队。So marching band is a group of instrumental musicians who perform while marching, and often for entertainment or competition. Instrumentation typically include brass, woodwind, and percussion instruments. And most marching bands wear a uniform, often military style. 他们都会穿制服，大概都会比较像军队风格的衣服。That includes associated organizations, color, name, or symbols. 那它的颜色就看学校变，就特定的一些颜色。So that's a marching band. So they're instrumental musicians. 这些会携带乐器的音乐家呢 So a marching band is a group of instrumental musicians who perform while marching. 他们边走边表演 often for entertainment or competition. 常常是因为娱乐性质或者是竞赛性质。So they have three kinds of instruments. 三种乐器 Brass instruments we include trumpet, trombone, and tuba. Woodwind instruments were flute, clarinet, and bassoon. And with percussion instruments, including triangle, tambourine, and cymbal. So this just basically covers some of the musical instruments they carried in the marching band. And of course, at the football game, you will see cheerleading performance, 啦啦队表演. And for a lot of Americans, cheerleading performance is a form of artistic performance, 一种艺术表演. And cheerleading is an activity in which participants, 一些参与者，他们就叫做 cheerleaders, cheer for their team as a form of encouragement. It can range from chanting slogans to intense physical activity. 它可能简单的就是欢呼，就是欢呼一些口号，或者是比较激烈运动型的。It can be performed to motivate sports team, entertain the audience, 带给娱乐 and for competition, 我们啦啦队竞赛。Cheerleading routines, 啦啦队的一些固定动作呢 So cheerleading activity can range from chanting slogans. Chant 就是念诵 slogan 就是口号 to intense physical activity, 身体的激烈运动 It can be performed to motivate, to entertain, and also for competition. 来鼓励、来娱乐、来竞赛用的。And cheerleading routine typically 它范围从哪里呢 ？From 1 to 3 minutes, 1到3分钟 and 可以包含 components such as tumbling, dance, jumps, cheers, 欢呼 and stunts 这些特技表演。And this is a very big commitment for the high school cheerleaders to learn so many moves. And they have to create 他们自己要设计这些固定动作，甚至有时候 sometimes they have to change their performance. And I think this is a very great experience, artistic experience for the cheerleaders. And next, we'll go to high school prom. 高中的舞会，尤其是we're talking about graduation prom. And this is very, many of you may be familiar with the high school prom because they are often the topics or the themes of some movies. 一些电影的主题 is about high school proms. And remember, high school prom is also a source of creativity 也是一个创作的来源。So a prom is a dance party for high school students, and the boys wear tuxedos and girls wear evening gowns. 男生会穿正式的西装，有些是燕尾服，女生会穿晚礼服 evening gowns. And this event is typically held near the end of school year. 这种活动呢，通常是在高中第4年快结束的时候。And they may be individual, junior, and senior proms, or they may be combined. 有些学校会办2场，一场是给11年级，一场是给12年级。那有时候他们会 combine 11年级、12年级。As you see in this picture, students have to pick their dresses, and some students will make their own dresses. 有些女生会做她们自己的晚礼服。And in the prom, a prom king and a prom queen may be elected. They are honorary titles awarded to students elected in a school-wide vote prior to the prom. 在毕业舞会之前呢，学生都会去投谁是舞会国王、舞会王后。And the winner may reflect popularity and their level of participation in school activities. 当然，被投票的人通常都是学校参加许多活动的 ，such as sports or clubs. And the prom king and queen might be given crowns. 会戴那个皇冠或者 sashes 肩带。So a tradition of fun and fashion. So a prom is a dance party for high school students, and boys wear tuxedos, and the girls wear evening gowns. And at the prom, a prom king and prom king may be revealed, and they may be given crowns and sashes, and girls wear a corsage, a small bouquet of flowers that they wear around women's wrist, that they are given by these boys. And this slide shows the early prom, 比较早期的毕业舞会。For the people who went to the early prom, this is their first adult social event. 他们第一个成人的社交活动。So they took it very seriously. 他们非常认真看待。Sometimes they would drive the family car. They dress up, 盛装打扮 and things like that. And extravaganza. And in 1920s and 30s, prom expanded into an annual class banquet, and students wear party clothes and dance afterward. As Americans gained more money in the 1950s, prom started to take place in extravagant hotel ballrooms. 在50年代，美国人变得比较有钱后呢，他们的毕业舞会就变在比如说乡村俱乐部 in the country clubs with elaborate decoration， 一个非常很多装饰品的地方。So like I said, early prom were times of first. The first adult social events, and the first time taking the family car out after dark, and the first real dressed up occasion. And as Americans gained more money and leisure time, prom started to take place in extravagant hotel ballrooms and country clubs with elaborate design or decorations. And like I said, some students would design their own evening gown, 他们自己的晚礼服. And here is an example, creativity in prom attire. And this young girl is Peyton Manker. She was a high school student. She created a COVID-19 themed prom dress from duct tape, 从那个强力胶带做出来的。 Peyton said, like most seniors in high school, her high school was cut short by the COVID-19 pandemic. 她的高中生活被减短了，因为这个疫情。So when the mentor heard the prom dress contest, 毕业舞会竞赛、设计竞赛 she felt the urge to take part in the competition. And because of the pandemic, both her senior prom and high school graduation were canceled. 因为这个疫情关系，她的高中毕业舞会跟高中毕业典礼都被取消了。So to memorize, to help her remember the event, she created a dress. So like I said, she made a COVID-19 themed, theme 就是主题的 COVID-19 主题的 prom dress using duct tape for prom dress contest 就竞赛。And Peyton said her high school life was cut short by the pandemic. Pandemic 就是疫情。And it felt right to create a dress about the virus because her prom and high school graduation were both canceled. So the gown 就是礼服 covered in coronavirus related images. Took 4 months and 41 rolls of tape to create. 41卷胶带做出来的。She even made her own high heels. 她自己也设计了她自己的 COVID-19 高跟鞋。So these are the words I covered, but not all. I just mentioned some of them. So you can review them if you want to increase your vocabulary. And this is my last slide. Congratulations to the graduates. It's the end of June. Many people finish school and are ready to start their career or the next step in their life. So congratulations. Thank you for listening.